Go
So
for it.
Elizabeth, let me know and let everybody know how it feels from your perspective of being in a room, having the doctors come in, having the specialists come in, even later on having therapists come in, just having all these people with your child, and also how did it feel during that time where you had to stay at home mostly, sort of like now?
In the beginning, it was very overwhelming. Um, you just, when you have a baby, you just expect to have your baby and go home and carry on with life. And that did not happen for us. it it was very overwhelming in the beginning, but as we got into it, and even now, it's more of a relief to have people in my life that I can call or text and just say, hey, Max is kind of doing this. What do you think about this? Or, I know that now we've been doing this for 8 years. I know that I can pick up my phone and call the nurse at the doctor's office, at the pediatrician's office. They know who I am. They know who Max is. And I can sometimes talk to the nurse and we can resolve whatever it is over the phone. Or sometimes she's like, you know what, Elizabeth, you really just need to bring him in and let Dr. Garcia look at him. And I know that they're there for me. Um, and it's a relief to know that the medical professionals that I have in my life are there to help us and to encourage us. Um, we've been through a couple. There was a few that I finally had to learn how to stand up and say, I don't think you're right for my child. That was something I had to learn how to do. I'm very much an introvert, so going to the second part of that question about how it was to stay at home, I was totally okay with that. Dad did not bother me one iota. And my husband's very much an extrovert, so he had a little bit more hard time with it than I did. But we balance each other out in that respect. So, uh, but I still had to go back to work. Um, David's job did not allow us for me to stay home to take care of him. I would have loved to do that. I was very willing to give everything up to stay home with my child. But our finances at that time just could not support that. And so I had to go back to work. So through my sister, we found a connection at our church her name is Farah. And it was just one of those things. It was it was a God thing. I don't know if you believe in God or not, but we do. And um, Farah lives one street over from us.
Wow.
Like a quarter of a mile. I could walk there in about 15 minutes. Um, and she has a daughter that has Down syndrome. Her daughter's name is Hannah, and she has mosaic Down syndrome. And the way we got put together to do that, for her to care for my son while I went back to work, was such a huge burden lifted off of me because I knew my kid was in good hands. My parents lived in North Carolina. David's parents were not able to help us. Everybody else around us worked. I had to go back to work. I still worked in the school system at that time, and I worked full time in Daytona. So I was gone from 7 to 5 at night for those first several months, and it was hard. Um, so staying home on the weekends and in the evenings was not a problem for me.
Exactly.
I was more than happy to stay home from different activities.
So explain how your life is now. Share, you guys saw or will see, depending on how this is all sequenced, a bit of Max, but tell us about Max now.
Okay, so Max is now 8. Things are a lot different now than they were as an infant. We have different challenges, we have different medical issues, and we have a little sister. Can you say hi? Yeah, she plays shy, but she's really not.
She's trying to climb you up so
Mhm.
she can really say hi.
Say hi. Hi. Okay, get down. There you go. Go. Um, so our family has grown a little bit. Um, our challenges now are more behavior based and getting him to learn social cues are a huge part of that. A lot of his medical issues have been resolved. So he had open heart surgery at 6 months. He had his DNA, adenoids and tonsils removed. I don't know how to say it. A couple of years ago. It's been 2 years, I think. And that has actually cleared up a lot of his medical issues.
Good.
We think he can hear better. He can speak a lot more clearly. There doesn't seem to be as much congestion. He used to be really congested all the time. It just seemed like he always got sick and always got colds. And there was one year, and he did 2 years of pre-K, and there was one year where it was, I think every 2 or 3 weeks, I had to have him out because he was sick with something. And we had his DNA done. Man, that kid hasn't been sick once. This entire year, this 19 and 20 year, I have not. I think I pulled him out for last year's class, and that was the only time I had to pull him out.
That's great.
So his health has just been tremendous turnaround. So now it's more teaching him not to throw things, not to scream in people's ears, um, teaching him that
Not to climb.
not to climb on things. Yes. We still don't go out a lot. It's very difficult. We've tried to go out to breakfast a couple times in the last couple months. Just um, once we went out for David's birthday over COVID, and then my brother was here and we went to breakfast. And the time that we went out for David's birthday, we went to a local restaurant and we had to leave. Okay. Just had an absolute meltdown. We don't know what it was. We don't know what set him off. We were super happy to go. We got pancakes. We got eggs. He loves those. And they brought us our food, and it was meltdown city. And we had to pack it up and leave. And that was really, really hard. And then a couple weeks later, we went out. My brother was in town, and we went to a different restaurant. This time, though, we pulled out my phone and downloaded some episodes of this cartoon called Bluey off of Disney Plus, and he was able to sit in the restaurant and eat while that was playing.
Right.
And he seemed to be more at ease because he had that on. So I'm not really sure what the correlation was, but there are times where it's hard to take him out. He still likes to run off, and so if we go to like Walmart, we still have to put him in a cart, which is very difficult because he's 8 and he's 65, 70 pounds, and he doesn't fit in that child's seat in Walmart anymore. And those other ones are ridiculous because they don't have seatbelts on them, like the big, the whatever. So we have to put him in like the buggy part of it, and it gets difficult because he's figured out that flap opens. And so, we're constantly having to fight with him in the store, trying not to climb out. He likes to take off his shoes and throw them at people, or his socks. And so those are the challenges that we're facing right now, is to be socially appropriate. And that has been a big challenge.
So we all know how people are in public. What are the responses from other people during some of these episodes, and how do you respond to that for yourself, but also in general?
For the most part, I feel very embarrassed. It's kind of one of those things. I think we've had a culture of, oh, your kid can't behave, you must be a terrible parent, and that kind of shaming has gone on. think some of that has been scaled back a lot. Um, People in our area specifically seem to be very nice about it. There's not a lot of times that have happened where anybody's been mean. If anything, they've just sort of maybe given us a dirty look or just turned and walked away, which I can handle. You know, it's can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, and that's what they do is they just turn and walk away. Um, you know, if Max hits somebody in the store or the restaurant, we always apologize. And now that he can talk, we make him apologize as well, and say, I'm very sorry, and just apologize as much as we can. And most people say it's okay, I understand, because a lot of people have kids too that they're just sometimes kids act out. You're not always going to have a perfect child, whether they're Down syndrome or autistic or what typical or what. I mean, it's like every child's going to act out, and a lot of parents, I think, are okay with that. The episode in the restaurant that we had to leave, there was a family that had sat down after we did, and I knew that the mom was looking at me, but it felt more like oh my gosh, I'm really sorry for her. Like it wasn't gosh, she's a terrible parent, but like the look I could feel off of her face was, wow, I feel really bad for her and the dad that they have to deal this and they have to get up and leave.
So in that, I'm sure you get several stares, and I've worked with special needs for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken with several of the families and how they think. But what would you like for somebody to come and tell you, say to you, or would you rather them just to leave you alone? Because I know, especially with the younger kids, you've got a lot of the stares, and I know other parents have told me that just feels very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So what would you, coming from your side of the story, what would make you feel more comfortable?
I know this is very socially inappropriate as we are now socially distanced, but sometimes, if a mom came up to me, like, let's say that mom got up in the restaurant, came to me, and just said, I'm really sorry, let me give you a hug, and can I help you box up your food? I probably would have turned her down, but the fact that she got up and acknowledged that we were having a hard time would have been much appreciated. Not expected at all, but something to that effect could certainly help ease the situation at the moment. So, like our waitress was very kind. She could see that things were going downhill, and would you like your to-go box? I mean, she just brought us it all, and
that's helpful.
It was
yes.
Just brought us the bags and the boxes, and
right.
helped us get out of there as quick as we could. So,